Liberation Army, the People's Liberation Air Force, and they are here in the United States, released into the United States. You have to think that this is a part of some plan or strategy. You'd be foolish not to at least consider that.
All right. That's Congressman Mark Green on the program a few months ago, sounding the alarm about Chinese nationals coming across the southern border illegally. Since then, the numbers have exploded. New numbers now show from January to September of this year, Customs and Border Protection officials apprehended more than 24,000 Chinese citizens at the border. That's more than 12 times the 1,900 arrests from last year, a 7,000% increase from 2021, when just 323 Chinese nationals crossed. Interestingly enough, people from China aren't considered special interest. Those picked up illegally coming from, say, Yemen, Iran, and a few other countries get more scrutiny for very obvious reasons. But hundreds of military-age males from China with shaved heads just come on in, despite the FBI director saying China is America's #1 enemy.
The greatest long-term threat to our nation's ideas, innovation, and economic security, our national security, is that from China.
Here now, Homeland Security Chairman Mark Green. Good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Good to see you.
All right. First off, why on earth would they not be special interest?
Well, it doesn't make any sense that they aren't, right? I mean, look, TikTok, $600 billion of IP theft every year. They're building one of the largest, they have the largest Navy, but not largest blue water Navy. Look at the aggressive actions that have happened just recently on video as our planes are traversing the South China Sea. It's crazy. And the schizophrenia in our, administration is appalling. You got this guy saying they're an enemy or a national security threat, and you got Janet Yellen talking about going over there and negotiating.
Look, is calling them special interest illegal immigrants, is that somehow going to hurt our relationship with China? I don't get it. Special
interest alien is a technical term. And
should they be called special interest?
Yes, I think they should. I absolutely believe they should, because just look at what's going on. This is a strategy. You can't go from roughly 1,500 a year to 24,000 in 1 year and it not be a strategy. And I think you, in one of your previous jobs, you were in Ukraine and you saw the Russians infiltrating Ukraine before this invasion. I mean, not that China is going to invade the United States, but if we were ever to defend Taiwan, our railheads that are going to send the military forces would certainly be spied on. I mean, it's foolish not to.
Spied on
or sabotaged.
Right.
Exactly.
I think about this, though. 24,000 Chinese, that's who we've caught, right? That means you have to assume that there's at least half that number who have gotten through.
The percentages, I wouldn't assert that I know, but there's 1.7 million known gotaways and some percentage of unknown gotaways.
Right, so it's a big number. It's a big number. This is my question. In order to get out of China, okay, you got to have an exit visa. You got to figure out how to get cash out, which requires government approval.
Yeah.
Buying a plane ticket out of there requires government approval if you're a Chinese citizen. There's no way this isn't something that the Chinese government is having happen.
Those are great points. And if you look at 4 of the provinces or states in China, they're all cashless, controlled by the government. Their central bank digital currency has already gone into effect in China, so they absolutely know and control what they're paying for. Most of the flights going to Ecuador, by the way, and then coming into the United States.
All right. This brings up an important point, because if China's doing this, it's likely to think that Iran probably would have been sort of military negligence to have not had some Hamas or Hezbollah people come in ahead of October 7th. The question is whether they're coming in to be sleeper cells to launch an October 7th style attack in the United States, or are they coming in to help organize these protests that we've seen around the country?
Yeah, so you can only make assumptions because we don't have intel, or none that I have seen personally. But we do know for a fact that it's logical reasoning from a military planning standpoint to do something like this. What we do know for a fact is that Iran tried to partner with a cartel. They wound up talking to a government agent, a U.S. government intelligence analyst or operative, and they got disclosed. They were trying to get a cartel to murder an American citizen on their sort of threat list, Iran's threat list. So we know for a fact they're working with are trying to work with the cartels now.
When you see what Iran is now doing in the Middle East, And then you saw what Hamas did, the level of training they did, the level of coordination of that attack. After 9/11, you remember this well, that was the fear, right? That there was going to be al-Qaeda cells in San Antonio, in St. Louis, in Boise, Idaho, who were going to walk into a shopping mall or a movie theater. And that was
They
the
caught
next thing.
some cells. They got in New York, upstate New York, and other.
For as much focus as Homeland Security had on right-wing extremism, have we kept up with, having undercover guys inside mosques and inside some of these more radical communities?
So that's a question that I don't have more recent information on, but I do know that in the last administration, or the 2 administrations ago, they stopped surveilling the mosques. So in the Obama administration, they stopped doing that. Now, I can't make a comment on what's going on right now. I just don't have the information.
Interesting, because there's the videos now of preachers, of imams here in the United States, and what they're talking about in terms of Israel, in terms of killing Jews, is pretty significant.
It's terrible.
Terrifying. Congressman, good to see you. Chairman.